Good morning. Welcome to the Committee on Public Safety, Judiciary, and Homeland Security. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Garza,
Here.
Commissioner Clementi,
Present.
Commissioner Dobb has requested an excuse. Chair Clark Coleman,
Here,
you have a quorum present.
thank you. Next item,
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none. Next item,
C, approval of the February 28th, 2024 meeting minutes.
okay. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Okay. Okay, been properly moved by Commissioner Garza and supported by Commissioner Kinlock. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, please vote. Mine either.
Are we yes votes?
Yeah,
Motion carried.
okay. All right, next item,
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
okay. We're gonna now move to item on the addenda, item number 4.
Moving to the addenda, item 4, requesting commission approval of a one-year comparable source professional services agreement with Universal Protection Services, LP DBA Allied Universal Security to provide supplemental armed security services at various county facilities.
Okay. Who do we have here today?
Through the chair, Aaron Wagner, Chief Administrative Officer, and with me I have representatives of Allied United Services.
John Enright, RVP. Sorry, John Enright, RVP from Michigan.
Hi, my name is Vince Tata. I'm the Manager of Business Development for the organization.
Okay, and
So through the chair.
I'm sorry, before you,
yeah.
the other gentleman. Yeah, right there, next to you.
John Tate.
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, John Enright,
okay, all right,
the RVP.
thank you.
Through the chair, what we have brought before you is a security staffing company contract that would provide security services for the courts in the KMAC building for civil courts and for probate court through the front of the court in the Penobscot building, as well as the juvenile court in Lincoln Hall of Justice, and lastly, for security services in 400 Monroe for the other elected offices. The administration worked very closely with both the sheriff's office and with the courts to identify that of the 159 positions that are mandated through the agreement between the courts and the sheriff's office, 48 of those positions are currently vacant. Due to health and safety issues, the courts had requested that we come to a solution, and this contract is a short-term contract that we are looking to work with Allied United Services to provide an augmented security service with the existing deputies that are in the courts. I do want to point out a few things as it relates to this. Allied provides the security services currently in 36th District Court. Initially, we had worked with them through a state of Michigan My Deal agreement due to timing with the immediate need of the security. That agreement was the term of that agreement was shorter than what we had requested, so we pivoted to a professional services agreement that you have before you. Also, the security officers through Allied United are represented by SEIU Local 1, and so it will be a represented security force that will be provided. Lastly, there is language within this contract, one-year agreement, that these officers, a percentage of these officers would have a path forward towards employment with the county. So it's solving one, the shortage due to, or the shortage in the mandate, as well as providing a path forward to employment, and the officers that we do have, or the security services that will be provided, are represented. Lastly, the areas that the staff augmentation force will be working through are allowed through the current POAM agreement. They will not be, and I want to make this clear, they will not be represented or servicing within the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. And furthermore, at this time, within the next few months, we'll be moving to the CJC. This contract only speaks to those other courts that I mentioned, as well as 400 Monroe. So it does not contemplate CJC staffing as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that it?
I know that the court is here if any of the representatives from the court would like to speak on this.
I see Chief Judge Broussard. Would you please come up to the table? Good morning.
Want to say that the.
But turn your mic on first. When you get and introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning. I'm
It
Judge.
should be on now. Oh, is it?
Turning itself
Press
up.
it once.
I pressed it.
Yeah, just once and then.
Go there, Jonathan, and fix it.
Good morning.
Okay.
I'm Judge Patricia Perez Broussard, Chief Judge of the Wayne County Circuit Court. And we are here just to indicate that our difficulty has been, although the Sheriff's Department has been very supportive and protective of the litigants in our court, as well as the employees in our court and the judges, at this time, the workforce shortage has left us with a situation where sheriffs need to be taken from all three other buildings, KMAC and Penobscot and the Juvenile Justice Hall, to bring enough deputies to Frank Murphy Hall of Justice to run that court and take care of the backlog. So we need 2 deputies in every courtroom there. That has not been a problem in the past until after COVID, where there's, I think, about a 30% workforce shortage. And so it leaves the other buildings with problems in that we have courtrooms that cannot be open to the public. So judges have to sit in courtrooms and do their hearings, whether they're Zoom or in person, sometimes with locked courtrooms because of a shortage of deputies. We've had, incidences happen, and I think the public is becoming aware that there's a shortage of security in the Juvenile Justice Hall, as well as Penobscot, as well as KMAC. And so that leaves everyone in danger. So to supplement until the Sheriff's Department can, I know that they have had, I believe, about a 25% increase given to them for funding for increases in salary, which is excellent, but they estimated it may take about a year to get the workforce up to par to cover the approximately 150 deputies they need to cover our courts. Because of that, the additional security that is needed and our interviews and our assessment of the ability of Allied to support for that 1-year contract seems well warranted.
Okay. Any questions for the judge while she's here? We don't want to hold her because we know she has to get to her courtroom. But if you have any questions for the judge while she's here? No questions?
I have some questions, but not necessarily with the judge.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming over. Okay, the next person that we're going to hear from will be Corporal Alan Cox, who is president of the Wayne County Deputy Sheriff's Association. Sure.
How can I say this? I prepared,
Are you going to be the spokesperson or the,
I am,
okay, okay,
I brought documentation in reference to issues concerning the security company, relative to the things that have happened at the Rents Inn recently. As the spokesperson for the, Wayne County Deputy Sheriff's Association, let me say this. I've had the opportunity to work at 36th District Court as a court security officer prior to becoming a Wayne County Sheriff Deputy. I worked for Wackenhut before you guys came in. I was there in 97. The biggest example I can give you for the respect that's given to officers in uniform that are the actual police in reference to security is an incident that happened while I was working there. They had a trial involving a well-known gang member on the 3rd floor. DPD wasn't available. It was just us security officers. A melee broke out in the hallway while they were trying to get this guy out of the courtroom. If it wasn't for Detroit police being present and coming to the rescue from another courtroom, they may have taken this guy as well as taken over the courtroom. As a deputy, I have been pleading with all of the powers to be not to do this. This will destroy,
not to do what, not to do what?
not to bring in security guards. This will destroy any chance at returning the sheriff office to the numbers that it once had. When I hired in, we were 1,500 strong. Then we had layoffs. Then we had COVID come after the fact. Our numbers are increasing now. Since the raises that you guys graciously gave us, our numbers have went from single digits to 19 and 20 and above in the jailers training courses that are bringing in new deputies. We perceive that before the year is out, we could have the necessary numbers to be able to continue to sustain ourselves in the new facility based upon the numbers that we've been given. We have not been party to any conversations except for one where we were told via Zoom that they were bringing in security guards. Our contract says that we're supposed to be provided a detailed account of anything that's going to take away from deputy positions. Our deputies toil in the jails and throughout the agency, and they are hardworking. They work 16 hours a day. They're doing everything they can to try to maintain this agency. The moment you bring in security guards, any officer who was here for a length of period of time is going to leave.
Why would they leave?
Because the focus is not on the restoration of the agency and deputies. It's on supplanting the jobs of deputies.
And I understand that, but let me ask you a question. What is your recommendation for the situation that the judge pointed out?
Well,
Like right now, there are not enough deputies for her to run the courts. So I mean, I know in the future what the situation will be once we get up and running in enough deputies that we can bring on board. But that's going to take, like you admit, it's going to take probably to the end of the year.
it's going to take.
So what do we do in the meanwhile?
Well, it takes a wholehearted collaborative approach. So. Okay. So it's going to take a wholehearted, holistic approach, not a compartmentalized approach. You have different groups working collectively to supplant the positions while we're trying to restore them. Right now in Los Angeles, LAPD has a 1,200 applicant pool of new applicants. That's an increase in 26% because of what they did, exactly like we did. They partitioned for the raises, they got the raises.
Mhm.
On the other end, the county increased the multipliers to get people who have retired or were thinking about getting back into law enforcement to come back. We're working collectively to that end. There are 43 cities inside of Wayne County. Why are we only recruiting in one? We need to be going all across the county recruiting. We need to be at the community colleges. We need to be at the VA buildings. We need to be recruiting on that efforts. We've had these conversations with the sheriff office, the county executive. So it seems disingenuous when we're only recruiting in mainly in the city or at other areas. And it's disingenuous when they're not doing everything to get the numbers up, but they present to you as the commission that they're doing everything they can to bring the numbers up while they're working cohortly to supplant our positions.
Okay, so are you saying that they're not recruiting outside the city of Detroit?
No.
Commissioner Kinlock?
When we were first contacted, first of all, you all had contacted the commission, sent a communication to us. And in that communication, you mentioned union busting and some of the same concerns that you're raising now.
Yes, sir.
And so when I got that letter, because I have a strong tie to labor in this community, I immediately reached out, raised a lot of questions as it relates to the need, the rationale, and what in the hell was going on as it relates to this contract because of the concerns that you all raised. The administration has been conversing with commission and trying to respond to some of those concerns. The biggest issue for me was making sure that we were not breaking any contracts, violating any contractual obligations or commitments that the county has with the union. Also, I was concerned because you all said that they had not contacted you all, that you had not had conversations with them in regards to these issues. So that was the initial time that you all communicated with us. I'm asking, since then, as this contract has been held up by this commission in order to have conversations with the unions as it relates to this issue. This is in the middle of, while we were, and I'm being honest, very stressfully having conversation with the administration, we all saw nationally an incident that occurred in the courtroom where a person leaped over and attacked the judge. That is a reality that can put not only the judges in danger, but those attendants, the employees in danger inside of these courtrooms. We absolutely said, because we understood what you were saying as it relates to job opportunities for the current sheriffs. We made it clear that because they said it was an emergency, because the court said an emergency, that it would be a year. It would be a year. You just said that it's going to take some time to fill these seats out. We're very sensitive to the fact, and we had a very clear understanding with the county executive and administration, not more than a year. So because of the same concerns that you raised, what I'm asking you is this. We have an immediate need right now. It's only going to be for a year. And you do know this is the Public Safety, Judiciary, Homeland Security Committee that receive monthly reports, regular conversation with the sheriff about recruiting. We asked the same question that you asked, how are you recruiting? They're telling us that they're recruiting outside of Detroit, not just Detroit. They're doing everything possible to recruit. They're doing these deficiencies in the ranks. So they're telling us that they're recruiting outside of this, not just in Detroit, because that question has come from, the majority of these commissioners. All I'm saying is this: I'm very sensitive to labor. They addressed the concern that we had about stopping footprint opportunities or growth opportunities. They've said, so this contract is only for a year. They also had to demonstrate to me, and they sent me a communication that this is not, that they have a right to have, that they have an agreement with the union to be able to to engage in this type of contract.
So.
Yes,
you-
that's all I have to say at this time.
You've asked a multifaceted question, so I'm gonna try to
Okay.
compartmentalize, break it apart. Okay, first, in reference to the contract language says that we're supposed to receive something in writing that gives us an assessment of the positions that are supposed to be temporarily removed or replaced in writing. We had a Zoom conference in November. In the Zoom conference, we were told, we're pretty much doing this. We read your contract. We know what it says. That's all we have to say about it. There was no negotiation. There's been no documentation provided to the union. I sat here and I listened to the gentleman over there say that the sheriff officers said that they're going to streamline the process so that security officers, security guards can have first line into our group, the membership. But there's been no conversation between their union or our union in reference to any documentation relative to that. The only conversation has been with the sheriff office. The county exec has made no conversation with us in reference to that. So you have people coming before you and presenting information as if they've talked to all the parties involved. They secured this understanding when we haven't even been at the table. The union is in opposition to it because we don't even have all of the facts relevant to the issue, except for we know our deputies are toiling in the positions for 16 hours a day. They are still there. They're still willing to work. And that if you bring in security guards under the auspice that you're not telling us anything about it or how you plan on doing it, and you haven't had a conversation with us, the expectation is that our people are going to rebel and leave. Because if you're not caring about me when I'm doing the job, how do I know that this is going to be temporary? Everything that has been taken from the deputy has not been returned. We never get anything back. So if you say you're taking 100 positions today, that means that those 100 positions are gone.
It's in the contract. Hold on. Let me say this. It's in the contract. That concern there, it's in the contract.
But what contract?
No, I'm saying, so did you all give them a copy of the contract? I'm not saying, did you all consult with them? I'm saying y'all should have given them information ahead of time. That he's saying that you all haven't.
And Commissioner, I'm saying wholeheartedly and truthfully, we have not been provided anything. We had a Zoom conference in which they pretty much told us, we've read your contract, we're doing this, and that's what it is. And this is why we've been in so much opposition against it. We have no idea what this plan looks like. We haven't had a conversation with the union representing the parties. We've had none of those things, which we believe as the membership representing the deputies, we are wholeheartedly entitled to. And if you read the contract, it says we're supposed to be provided something in writing. I think it's like 30 or 40 days prior to anything like this taking place.
General Counsel, can you come in here, please?
Through the chair.
I'm sorry. The county's general counsel.
Through the chair. I'd like to address a couple points. One, there are actually two Zoom meetings that were facilitated. One was through the sheriff's office, the courts, and the administration. The second one, the CEO attended. Homeland did not. They were invited and they were confirmed, but they did not attend that second meeting. The contract itself was shared with all parties that were in attendance to that meeting. There were questions specifically about certain points on path to employment with these employees. In fact, the sheriff's office representative has letters of recommendation from every single union that attended. So I want to be clear that we offered, we shared the information. The information was emailed out to all of those parties. And, you know, I'm sorry, but I respectfully disagree with the with how that's being presented. Secondly, this agreement is not to replace sheriff's officers. It is to fill vacancies that by the mandate are required in the courts. These positions are going to work alongside sheriff's officers. So they're not going to be just AUS employees. There'll be a sheriff's deputy and an AUS employee.
So in response to that, I'll say this. Wayne County Deputy Sheriff Office Association has a parent group. It's called the Police Officers Association of Michigan. So you mentioned just now that documentation was provided to all the other unions affected. However, the only union representing the deputies is us. Are those security guards going to be working with the 3317, which is the sergeants? Because that's the only other union. So for me as the president, not to receive anything, the only notification I had was of one meeting, which was via Zoom, which we made ourselves available, even though we had step 4 grievance hearings and everything else scheduled. I don't recall you being on the meeting. I recall there being a representative from the chief judge. I recall there being a representative from the county exec. I recall being told, we reviewed your contract. We know that what the language says, and we can do this, and we're doing it. We have not received anything in writing, which is a requirement by the contract you keep saying you're followed. All we're saying is we should be entitled to receiving documentation relative to the positions that you're talking about assuming so that we can provide it to our parent group POAM so that they can look through it. There's supposed to be proper correspondence between the channels. And for the sheriff office to say that they're going to open up a gateway for security guards to be able to come and join our membership without having any communication with us at all is ridiculous. They don't control that. We have a contractual agreement between the parties. That means they have to provide something from us. We have to agree to it. They can't just agree to give you a pathway.
Okay,
It's a 3-party agreement.
okay. Sue, you want to speak on this, please? Introduce
Sorry.
yourself.
Good morning, Sue Hamud, Deputy Corporation Counsel. As Mr. Wagner alluded to a few moments ago, the sheriff's office has statutorily and legally mandated obligations to staff the court, to staff the jail, and various other aspects. As this body knows, unfortunately, there is a staffing shortage in the sheriff's office. So it is really at this point a matter of, juggling priorities as to what needs to be, what's of the greatest importance that needs to be staffed. This current contract allows the sheriff to adequately staff the court. With reference to the POAM contract is very specific as to what entities have to be staffed with sheriff's deputies. This current contract is intended to staff security with entities that are not mandated in that contract to be staffed by deputies. For example, obviously the jail is mandated to be staffed by sheriff deputies. Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, per the POAM contract, has to be staffed by sheriff deputies. KMAC, Lincoln Hall, and what's the other one, Aaron? Penobscot
Yep.
do not have to be staffed by sheriff deputies per the contract. So there is no violation of the POAM contract with the proposed allied contract for security. Again, as this body knows and has been reiterated numerous times at this table, this is a short-time solution until the sheriff's office can be adequately staffed. And we do have the appropriate number of bodies to meet the legal mandates that the sheriff is obligated to.
Judge Fassard.
Yes, on the court's part, I am concerned about some of this miscommunication because it seems to me that's one of the things that I was going to bring up is the statutory and legal obligation of the sheriff's department and where it stands and why most of the sheriff's department, our resources are brought to Frank Murphy right now. The example that was given really was an example of a criminal court and a criminal defendant, and we are sending all the deputies available almost to Frank Murphy. And so in my view, although we're all supportive of unions and definitely the sheriff's department and the police officers, when we look at this issue, it would appear to be supportive of our law enforcement, because when the sheriff's department is unable to, and they're stating that they are on emergency crisis situation with not being able to have enough sheriffs for the jail, or Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, where they're mandated 2 deputies in each courtroom and the jail. The rest of the deputies are sporadic, and so we are missing about 50 deputies to cover our courts. And we are required to run these courts. They're supposed to be open to the public and open courtrooms. Kim Worthy has stated that there are 3 warrants recently because of this issue and dozens of incidences of knocking on doors, messing with cameras because there aren't sufficient deputies in KMAC. This is a contract to supplement the deputies and really to protect them also. I mean, if you don't have enough deputies, and they're talking about one deputy, there were times when there was one deputy in courtrooms at Frank Murphy Hall of Justice and dangerous incidences, and they could not send or have enough to send more. And so to have those deputies in those courtrooms as they should be, and to have a supplement for 1 year of allied would seem to be, if that is not done, and we've already delayed this, if it is not done, the courthouses cannot be run properly. They have to be shut down. And really, it's an issue of what do the courts do? Show cause the sheriff? Shut down the courts? They have to run the we have to run the courts. We have to have some assistance in running the courts. So we are short about 50 deputies at this time, and we are very supportive of the Sheriff's Department recruiting as best they can. In fact, it's my understanding from the meetings that I've attended that not only is there a 25% increase in salaries, but there is a specific effort towards assisting the Sheriff's Department with recruitment, and a recruitment officer that was specifically, brought into the Sheriff's Department to assist in that effort. And they're supposed to be recruiting at least county-wide. So I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding here, but I think the important issue is that it's my understanding that the contract has been shared, and my understanding that we can afford no longer delays.
Okay, so we, as Commissioner Kinlock said, we do have the Sheriff's Department coming here and give us regular reports on recruiting. I might be wrong, but I think that we just added, is it 2 or 3 recruiters? That we just added about 2 or 3 recruiters to so that we can provide more applicants. And I have never heard that it was just in the city of Detroit. I have never heard that. And is anyone here from the Sheriff's Department? Bonita, can you please respond to that?
Okay.
No, come up to. You can sit right here.
I was actually going to have, I'm Benita Terry with the Sheriff's Office, Director of Administration. We have 3 recruiters. At this time, we are looking to add more recruiters to our team so we could be more active. And we are recruiting outside of the metropolitan Detroit, concentration of Detroit area. We are in the suburbs. I know just recently they were in Romulus High School, at John Glenn, Wayne Westland schools. So we are making every effort that there is. We're going to churches, and we have an event in a few weeks with Sir Metro, a hiring event.
Okay.
Have you been to the VA?
Not that I'm aware of.
Have you been to the community colleges?
Not that I'm aware of.
the-
I can have my recruiter, the Director of Recruitment. I could bring him online and he can give you guys more information.
You have to go through the chair.
Right,
Go
I'm
through the
sorry,
chair.
ma'am. Well, I'm just saying, this is what I was alluding to. So it seems to us as the union, there's a concerted effort to keep the numbers low in order to facilitate this. Why haven't we been given the contract?
Why would that be?
Because this is what they want to do.
To keep the numbers low?
Yeah. Why would you bring in the same company that's been kicked out of the rent center? I provided you documentation that shows all the issues that are relevant to this company.
Well, I can say personally, because I do go to community meetings and all of that,
Mhm.
and they're out there.
Okay.
Now, I will say that my district only covers Detroit. But at most of those community meetings, they've got recruiters out there working. And so, Benita, are you saying that there's 3 right now?
We have 3 currently, and we are looking to add more to our.
How many are you looking to add?
At least 3 more.
So you want to have a group of, and Benita, also, the classes, didn't the Chief Turner indicate that they're going to have more classes now?
Yes, we are looking at changing the way that we currently hold our classes to set it up where there's modules. And if we complete you're ready to go, you don't have to wait until the next session will start, where we have right now like 3 training academies. You'll be able to start, we're rolling them. It's just gonna be a continuous effort to keep the classes going and to not lose any applicants at any particular time.
Right, because Chief Turner indicated last time that was a problem with the classes not starting.
Yes.
And by the time, I mean, you can recruit someone, but by the time they get here, by the time the class is ready, they've gone someplace else.
Yes.
So, and because you were going like A, B, C, and D. So now they can take any portion of that.
At any particular time. because
At any
they're
particular
The
time.
classes are not built on, so they're separate modules, so you can start at any particular time.
Okay, so
No
Corporal Cox.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, Commissioner Kinlock.
Okay. Listening, so you do understand and hear the urgency, and they're saying and explaining this is going to be supplemental. When you say they, you're also including the county commission. We're the legislative branch. They have to bring the contracts to us. We have a staff that makes sure that those contracts have the intent of what commission wants in there, and that we and administration have an understanding. This contract is for a year, from what I understand. The next thing I would like, because I want to be clear, if you don't mind, Attorney, would you state the position or the language that is actually in the agreement that allow for this contract to be put in place?
Are you referring to the poem agreement?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sure, I'll read it to you verbatim. The following work is subject to being performed by temporary officers and or private non-governmental entities. Court divisions, Third Circuit Court Civil Division, Probate Court Civil Division, Third Circuit Criminal Division, temporary MCOL certified officers only, Frank Murphy Hall of Justice Lobby Service Security Detail. While this work may be performed by temporary officers, it is not to be performed by private non-governmental entity. I will represent that there is no intention for Allied Security to staff Frank Murphy Hall of Justice in any way, shape, or form, including the lobby. Am I right?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay, so Aaron, I want to ask you the concerns that have been raised this morning by the union as relates to previous contracts and services that were provided specifically by this company for Renaissance. Have you all looked into that? Also, have there been any other type of grievances, issues, or otherwise as far as how they operate at 36th District Court, which is something that's more of a suitable government operation? Has there been any concerns raised in regards to their engagement there?
Yeah, so through the chair, we have worked with Allied to do our due diligence on that particular issue. First, I want to note that when those issues occurred, it was prior to Allied owning that entity. Allied assumed a company called G4S Security, which at the time had a MCOLS Public Act 330 police agency that was a joint ownership between General Motors and G4S Security. At the time that these incidents occurred, that was prior to the ownership of Allied.
And you verified that?
And we verified that. Secondly, I want to point out that we also asked Allied to provide some data of the representation of employment over at 36th District Court. 91% of the staff there is representative of African American, 5% are white, 5% are listed as other. I also want to denote that of the 64 employees at 36th District Court through Allied, 50 of them live in Wayne County.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Do we have any questions from other members of the commission? We have none. Okay, Corporal Cox.
Madam Chair, I would just simply ask, the union has not been provided any copies of this contract, as I alluded to earlier. We don't have any information in reference to the precursors of this agreement, what the agreement entails. The gentleman mentioned that they've made an effort to make sure that we have it. I'm the union president. I represent to you. I have received nothing. I would like to receive something.
You will. Right?
That's correct.
You will receive it immediately. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And you know what? It would be my suggestion. Is it improper for our people to sit down with your people and explain and go through all of these items?
I don't have any issue with that. I want to be as open and as transparent with what we're trying to achieve here.
Alicia? I know you're trying to hide, but I think it's a matter of miscommunication. That's what I'm hearing. And I, you know, I'm a strong union person. I don't do anything that would be viewed as union busting. I've always been a strong proponent of labor. So I just think that from what I'm hearing from both sides, it seems like it's a lack of communication. And Felicia, can you address if there's anything wrong with say Corporal Cox sitting down with Aaron? Is there anything wrong with that?
Through the chair, no, there is no, there's nothing wrong with communication. It's just a matter of willingness of the parties to do so.
Okay. And perhaps our general counsel.
No, I don't see it. I don't see anything that would prohibit.
Okay, so it would be my desire, and I don't know about my fellow commissioners, that maybe if all the parties come together and sit down and you can ask any questions that you want, you can be given any documents that you want and work it out. What we want to make sure happens is that we don't put deputies, we don't put the ones that are in those courts, that we don't put their lives in danger. And to refuse to give and we want the courts to operate, because we can be held liable if that doesn't happen.
I understand. We understand that, and safety is our issue as well. I just want to make sure again that we have an opportunity to look through the documents, refer to our parent group, and then be able to get back with us, if that's possible.
Madam Chair, if I may, I just, Deputy County Executive just sent me a text message that he did meet with POAM in late January. So I think perhaps maybe the miscommunication is through POAM and their ranks. I think leadership is meeting with and communicating, but it may not be translating to Corporal Cox.
Ma'am, I pride myself on being a civil servant. I know that when you come before the committee, it's just like when going to the courthouse and testifying before the judge. As I asserted in the documents I provided you, the only correspondence we had was a Zoom conference. I don't know about this meeting in January where they say they talked about this issue. I haven't received any documentation. That's why we have been in such an opposition to it.
And that's what it sounds like to me. It certainly sounds that way to me. I think that we can address all of these issues if all parties sit down and share information. Yes,
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, in regards to item number 4,
yes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the 1-year comparable source professional service agreement between the Charter County of Wayne and Universal Protection Services doing business as Allied Universal Security, not to exceed $4,970,869.28 to provide supplemental armed security services at various county facilities. And the term of the agreement will commence upon commission approval for 1 year. The cost of the agreement will be charged to the appropriate as stated accounts. Also, included in this motion, prior to the full board taking action on this item, that the members of POEM leadership as well as designated members of the administration shall meet prior to commission meeting. Also, the commission council is also directed to review the language in the contract to ensure that there is temporary language that carries out the intent of this, and only that this contract is to serve as supplemental, as has been indicated to us this morning. And the contract also has a one-year renewal option. And so that is my motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, so do I have a second, first of all? Clemente seconds it. Let me just say that we'll take a vote, first of all. All in favor, please indicate.
Before you vote,
Okay, sure, go ahead, go ahead.
just a point of clarification.
Sure.
So, there is nothing that we located in the contract that says it is temporary or supplemental. So adding that to a resolution doesn't change the fact that it's not in the contract.
No, I'm saying for you to add that. My direction is
Just to
that
add it.
add it. That's all.
So
Add it.
then, assuming that's everyone's in agreement with that and maybe taking out the 1-year renewal, then this should be contingent upon some potential revisions coming forward to
So the
full
1
board,
year,
and we can have that conversation with the administration. But I wanted to be clear as presented. It doesn't say temporary or supplemental. It's just for security services for specific locations. And there is a 1-year contract with the 1-year option to renew as presented to you.
and that my intent is exactly what I said in the motion, is to make sure it's included in that one-year option to be included. That's what they stated to us before Ways and Means yesterday as well. That was the situation. So that 1-year option. But the thing is that this is temporary, as well as that 1-year non-renewal. I mean, the 1-year renewal also would be required as a vote to board. So it's another action. So that would be, I know renewals are initially initiated by you all, but if there is a renewal, you'll have to come back to the commission for that approval.
Through the chair, per the procurement ordinance, this would require commission approval for any amendment to the contract, whether it's to increase or decrease, change the scope of work, but certainly for a renewal or to exercise the option.
Okay, then
here.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
would-
So yes, that's the intent. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and let's be clear that this meeting must take place before this.
And they get a copy of it
Before-
prior.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
copies.
he's gonna get that today, right?
Yes.
And that this must be all worked out before
Full board.
full board meeting, which is next Thursday, March 21st. So this has to be worked out before then.
Through the chair for clarification.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, the ask is at least in the appendix to then just make sure that there's language that
Yes.
contract.
That's really only action.
Commissioner Garza.
I just want clarification, Madam Chair, and I'm not sure if council can currently in the agreement, is there language currently in there about bringing this back if after that year for
It's in
commissions? It is, okay, so that's we're agreement on that.
So to be clear, there's nothing in the contract that specifically says commission approval is required, but that is general standard county operations based on the amount of this contract. So it would not occur without this body's approval.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, all right. Any other comments or clarifications on this motion? Are we clear what the motion says? Okay, all right. So all those in favor, please vote.
Motion carried.
Okay. Thank you so much, all parties. Thank you, Corporal Cox, for coming in and we're going to make sure that you get whatever you need. Okay. Thank you, Judge, for coming in also. We are returning to item number 1.
Moving to item 1 on the agenda, revision of resolution number 2022-470, approving amendment 1 to a 3-year sole source contract with a 3-year option to renew with Savant Learning Systems, Inc., DBA Virtual Academy.
Bernita?
Terry, Director of Administration for the Sheriff's Office. Good morning, afternoon. So this contract here is for our Virtual Learning Academy. And so it is going to be, we're just looking to basically reclass and move the funding from one account to another to be able to pay our contract sufficiently.
Okay. Commissioner Kendall?
Question, Virtual Academy, this Virtual Academy will be for what?
Okay. So our officers are required to have so many hours to stay in compliance. So per the MSCTC is 20 hours and per the county mandate is 24 hours. Now, what all the training involves, what different modules that are there, I don't know. I do know one for sure is just simple as with the, oh my God, Red Cross, I'm losing
Oh,
my train
CPR.
of CPR.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Losing my train of thought. But there's several pieces and I could get more information and bring that back to you. I don't know all the pieces involved, but it is 1,000 hours that we pay for our officers.
That's good. Yeah.
Commissioner Clemente?
Thank you, Manager. So it's continuing education for our officers,
Yes,
what you're
and
saying.
it is
Different types of things
mandatory.
that are, yes, okay. So it would be like CPR and different things. like that. Okay.
Policing.
And it's all virtual.
Virtual.
Okay,
They do it
perfect.
on their phone or on a laptop. So it's not something that they have to go in person for.
They get certificates and they
Yes,
turn it
and their
in?
hours are continuously recorded by our training unit.
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask you, will this be available towards the for the reserve officers? Okay, I'm going through Reserve Academy now.
I'll check on that for
What do
you.
you think? Thanks.
Okay. Any other? Motion, please. Okay, Commissioner Garza makes a motion, supported by Commissioner Kinlock. Please vote.
Motion carried.
Okay. Next item.
Moving to item 2 on the addenda. Requesting commission approval of a 3-year electronic monitoring services contract with house arrest services to provide electronic monitoring and case management services, including labor, management, supervision materials, software and supplies, and to provide Rally Alert GPS with secure cuff tethers, as well as a SCRAM transdermal alcohol tethers.
Okay. Renita?
So we bring before you a contract that we would like to enter with house arrest services. There was an official bid that was placed out where we had 4 bids that were received with 44 solicitations. House arrest along with United Monitoring were the two most responsive bidders. This is for $11,700,000 for our tether units.
Okay, can you also speak to item number 3?
Yes, so with item number 3, with United Monitoring Solutions, as you see, they both were awarded the contract, kind of sharing this contract, and they are at 3.3 million. And I do have the number of participants that are active right now on Tether. That is, as of today's date, we have 1,019 that are on Tethers.
Okay. Any questions on item number 2 or 3?
On item 2, is that a new contracting? Is that a new tether provider that?
No, last year, United Monitoring and House Arrest both, or last contract, shall I say, both were on the contract.
Okay.
So they're returning.
Okay, returning contractors, and so there's no, okay, right here. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or concerns on item number 2 and 3 on the agenda? Hearing. What? Oh, we do need, we have it. It's been properly moved by Commissioner Clemente, supported by Commissioner Garza. Please vote.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I have not been informed of any other items. Next item.
G, public comments.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience, first of all, who would like to make a comment at this time? Under public comment? Anyone? How about our lines are they open for the phone or email? Are there any emails?
No emails are received and the lines are open.
Okay, the lines are now open for public comment. If there's anyone on the line who would like to speak at this time, either Zoom or on the phone, please do. First call. Second call for public comment. Anyone would like to speak at this time? Please speak. Last call for public comment. We will now hear from anyone who would like to speak at this time. Hearing none, the public comment period is closed. Next item.
Adjournment.
Properly moved by Commissioner Garza, supported by Commissioner Kenlock.